Wargamer Dave here from MiniWarGaming.com. Welcome Wargamers to the terrain making room. Today's project, I'm going to make an armory. I'm going to show you the piece of concept art that I have drawn looking off of an armory that I saw in a video game. Now perhaps some of you will recognize the video game and some of you will recognize the armory. And if you do, that's great. Here it is. What I'm going to be using for this project: polystyrene for the actual base, the core base itself. I'm going to be using some foam core for various mechanical pieces that are attached to the building. I'll be using cardstock to add to the top of the core of the building, and perhaps some regular corrugated cardboard, which I'll be using for the door. Mix in a couple colors of paints, which I'll decide later. Some PVA glue to glue it all together as well. And of course it helps if you have a foam cutting table. Now Matt was inspired by Fireman Tim because of Fireman Tim's foam cutting table, and we're going to be using that to make the basic core shape of this armory. So let's dive right in here and let's get started. So the first thing we're going to be doing here is cutting out the main core. It's basically just a block with the two top edges shaved down at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to begin by cutting this 1.5 inch thick piece of polystyrene. I'm going to cut out two sections of it, place one on top of the other. There we go. So this is the core. Now it's time for my 45-degree cuts. First half. Second half. Now one of these sides is a little bit too long, so I'm just going to trim it up a bit. This is a little bit too fat for me. I want to make it a bit thinner, so I'm going to take some off of the sides. Both pieces together, I'm going to run it through the foam cutting table. So there's one side, and there's the other side. Much better. Before we begin to do anything else with this structure, we need to attach these two pieces, make it nice and solid. To do that, we're going to use PVA glue and some toothpicks for reinforcement. So let's stick in the toothpicks. Now with this we don't need a whole lot of them, just a few. And for the PVA, I'm just going to pour it on and then use my brush to spread it around. Place it on top. Make sure to line it close as possible to the edges. That looks pretty good to me. And just press down. That is one solid piece now. Now we can begin with the rest of the structure. The next thing I'm going to make is the machinery attached to the building. With that, I'm going to use foam core. I got a piece of foam core right here. And I'm just going to put this base right on like that. It's a template. And just trace. Now this piece here comes at a bit of an angle, just like that. Use our X-Acto knife. And that goes on just like so. I'm going to proceed to cut out multiple wings and glue them together to make it a bit thicker. Using my template, I've cut out 6 pieces. I'll now proceed to attach these wings onto the building. But first I'm going to glue these wings together because it's 3 separate pieces. So I have a piece of masonite here. This is now going to be the base for my project. Now it's time to glue the polystyrene onto the masonite base, and I'm going to attach these foam core wings. Right on top of there. And the same thing for these. Scoop it right on. It's okay if there's excess. Stick it against the building there. And just let this sit and dry. Okay, the next thing I'm going to make, this little concrete slab right there. To do that, I use foam core, my little ruler. Another one there. Okay, so after cutting it out, now it's just a matter of gluing that down. I've cut out a couple pieces of polystyrene, and I'm going to glue them onto the sides just to give it a bit more character to the building. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is create this opening here. And to do that, I'm going to use cardstock with some corrugated craft paper. It's the craft paper right here. I'll measure out how big this is, cut it out of here, and glue that piece against the wall. Then after that, use my cardstock and cut out 2 side panels, just to represent the door and behind the wall. So I cut out my corrugated door and the 2 wall panels. My next step is just to simply glue this on. There we go, nice and tight. I'm going to add a track here using plastic drinking straws. Now I'm going to create these strips going across here. To represent that, I will use cardstock, and it's a bit tricky doing this because you need to get that nice bend. You want that nice bend in your strip. So with this piece of cardstock here, as you can see, when I bend it like that, it's really hard to get a nice strip. So to combat that, we do this. This is a neat little trick I've learned, and it'll serve really well. First, we put the strap over top of the building here, mark out with the pencil where the slope starts, use your X-Acto blade, and make a shallow slice. You don't want to slice all the way through it, you just want to make a shallow slice. Now the purpose of this is so we can bend it, and it gives a nice straight bend without cutting the cardstock. So as you can see, it goes over top, very nice. I'm going to now proceed to create 4 of these. My first one, my second, third, and my 4th. Now it's just a matter of gluing these down. Just placing a battery pack there so it doesn't stick out when it's drying. And just wait for this to dry completely. There's some additional panels here, so I'm just going to add them on. Okay, now that that's all dry, I'm going to make this machinery right here that's riding along the track. I've used the foam cutting table and I've cut out a piece of polystyrene to represent that. It's going to go right on there. And I'll add a few more pieces to it just to make it more interesting. Glued a couple pieces of polystyrene to go underneath here just so it's more stable. I'll glue the small panel onto here just to give it some more detail. The next step is to base coat it in black acrylic paint. Wait for the glue to completely dry before you do that. Base coat everything, every square inch. You don't want any of that blue showing through. And just let this sit and dry.